Wished I still had my sweatshirt that. All right, Jim, I'm gonna text you and then you send that to me. I wanna check that out, Jim. Much love and respect to you, brother, for rolling them 18 wheels down the road, moving that Budweiser, bro. Yeah, that's true, Jim. That's very true. So, Sewer just prays for him to do the right thing. I guess that's all I
Good
can
morning.
do. But listen, guys, it's my battery's at under fucking. Well, we're down to about 37% now.
Now,
So
now then all over in the States. Hope you're all good.
But before I go,
well, I'm above ground. That's about as good as it gets.
That's my wife calling, so I need to get off of here.
Speeding time.
Love and respect to you all. Let's pray for Swamp Fox. Let's pray for Patriot Defense. Let's pray for Anon. Hell, let's just all pray for everybody. Much love and respect to each and every one of you. I am so humbled and honored that you all come to my chat room. I love you all.
Well, that's romaine lettuce.
Love and respect, my brothers and sisters.
And those are mealy worms, freeze dried. So what do you think, Reptar? Are you hungry this morning? I try not to get it all in the dish because when I feed him live food, it crawls out and away, so I like him to always look just outside the dish too. Where are you at? It's all too much over across the pond? I don't know how good a shot I got on him. Oh, he's kind of faded out in the light. Maybe I can put up the table and move the camera. Give you a better shot of him. I thought he'd come down and eat right away, but apparently he's being obnoxious. Oh, excuse me, coffee. Alright, let me adjust the screen and grab the camera. There we go. There, you get a better shot of what he looks like, not faded out in the light. Yeah. I much enjoyed England when you watched it on TV and it's back in the era of the Knights. What's happening there is sad. It's it's not new, it's not different, it happens in every culture. Once safety isn't a real issue, then everybody starts getting more touchy-feely, and instead of just being glad he didn't pull a gun out and shoot you, now you get pissed that they say, hey, you. But it's definitely getting worse here. Their government's really starting to take notice of auditing and wants it all to end. I never thought in my lifetime I'd hear people in Congress stand up and advocate for socialism. There's another guy that called Sasquatch that did a short video this morning. I think he has a monitor lizard that was eating a rat. Yeah, that's part of it is simply acreage, I believe. I mean, if you look at just in Britain, for example, they have, you don't have to drive far and all of a sudden you're talking in a different dialect with a different accent. Here they're spread out a little farther. But yeah, we have way more guns than they do, and we ain't about to give them up. So if you look at the history, they got together and tried to slow down what they saw happen over there, but our government's still picking away at it, picking away at it. They've got the college kids educated to think that the Constitution is just an old piece of paper written by old men way back when, and it don't have anything to do with today. It's like the Nazis pulled in the young group and brainwashed them. That's what they're doing to the kids here. We have really two distinct cultures, the inner city cultures and the country cultures. Yeah, I have several auditors that I subscribe to over there, and some of the crap with the knife thing and the getting pointed knives out of the stores. Next it's going to be hammers. I'm surprised they all let you drive cars since cars kill people. Yeah, if you were all alone and walked into a valley that was lush and perfect and you were by yourself, there would be no conflict. However, when somebody walks in from the other side, all of a sudden there's conflict, no matter what. I mean, you both had the rights by birth to be alive. Hell, we don't even allow that here. There's so many abortions that kill so many babies. And science has been politicized to the point that it's not science, it's wishful thinking. Hey, Lady D, good to see you. Well, he's on a holding pattern apparently. I fed him, and he's eyeing the food, but hasn't quite made the move. Guess he's waiting for more people to watch. Seward had a good stream this morning. Suspicious is having some issues. I hope everything works out for him. Well, looks like the sun's going to peek through the clouds. Hopefully the humidity will drop some. I don't know if you've seen his cage yesterday, but he tore it up good. So this morning I straightened up some of it. I moved his hammock too. We'll see if he likes it. Yeah, some of it I think, there's still a little bit of hype in it that people seem to get overly offended, but it's dangerous out there. Touch his tail. He likes being petted on the top of the head. Let me move things here so I can stand up. Oh. 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 Reptar, they want you to have some attention, don't they? Oh, little baby. Oh, little baby. With the little baby. Oh. Oh. Not sure if he likes it or don't like it. But he gets handled a hell of a lot less here than he did when my 3 grandkids were taking care of him. Yeah, it's getting real dangerous out there. It's like even the cops here know about auditing, and nobody audits around here but me. Wow, let me get that in there. Just have to remember, if he takes off for the food, I got to move the camera or you don't get to see nothing. He's really been bulking up the last month. His tail's almost twice as thick as it was when I got him 6 months ago. See, how long has it been now? No, it's been longer than that. 10 months ago. Just having my coffee and smoking with Seward, and got Reptar fed, see if he'll eat. Well, my son's an attorney, and he went from a state attorney to full-blown immigrant lawyer. And when I talked to him about it, he just laughs. He said he wouldn't represent me if he could. And it seems like we're on the same side on most of it with people's rights, but he somehow thinks illegal immigrants have more rights than American citizens. But I raised him to think on his own, so I'll just live with it. What's wrong, Reptar? Huh? Oh, yeah, there you go. Giving everybody your best side. Well, the whole rights thing is kind of an unusual word. They say it's inalienable, that you're born with the right to live. But they can take that away, so in nature you have to fight for your life. Just because we've civilized to the point where people don't fear for their life anymore, they think they can be offended by everything. Hey, CDC DSM. Good citizen. Well, since human life didn't originate on this piece of dirt rock, then every person that's ever come here is an immigrant until they're bare children. Call me Cole or brother. Okay, Cole. I like Cole. That's a cool name. My best friend in Ohio's last name was Coolman. I thought that was the coolest last name ever. But Cole's I could do that. Because GDCTZN is a tongue twister. And there's a lot of people that use the good citizen moniker, so. But I usually stream Reptar eating in the morning, however he's a little pissed at me, I guess. I got to watch a cool video this morning of Sasquatch fed his, I think it's a monitor lizard, a rat. Man, that thing came right over and chomp, chomp, chomp. Yeah, you end up with a pet like you, and he just Lays around all day. Cool. Yeah, we ain't gonna have much sun today. It peeked through for about 4 seconds. Oh, you caught him for it on GoPro? Oh, that's cool. Yeah, there was some, like last week I did a stream and a reptar took a crap and you could hear the squirt. Everybody was like, what was that? And lizards, they don't pee, so they poop dark and they poop a white chunk. The white chunk is whatever they've drawn out of the fluids. But it's also liquidy. Last night he slept in the water dish. That's when I figured I better move the stuff in the cage around. Oh crap. Yeah, it's the end of my second thermos. Thanks for coming in, Lady D. We'll see ya. Probably in a half a dozen or dozen streams today. Have you built up the anticipation, Reptar? Can you go eat now? Well, yeah, they get big, man. I mean, he's pretty much full grown. He'll get thicker and stockier, but for length, we rescued a little over 5 foot iguana. Had it run through the house for about 4 or 5 months. But they're pretty mellow too. The monitor though, he looks cool. Yeah, I think that's what Sasquatch is. Iguana's a puppy though. Well, we got a new one after my son let it crawl outside in the winter on the roof and froze to death. Of course, that's the story he tells. I wasn't there, so I don't know. But we got a little one, and you could put it on your shirt and walk all over the place, and it wouldn't move. It'd just hang there. Reptar's pretty good. He's got one deformed foot. But he seems happy. The coolest thing though was the little iguana. We put it on the floor and we had cockatiels, and a cockatiel would fly down to the floor and be about a foot away, and the iguana would snap its tail at the cockatiel, but its claws wouldn't hold in the carpet, so it would like bounce on a curve, and then the cockatiel would jump closer, and it'd bounce, and then jump, and they'd do a circle all around the room for about 5 minutes, and then the cockatiel would fly back up. It was always one of the male cockatiels, so I figured it was just, but it was hilarious. It would have been fun to have videos back then. Yeah, Drew Bound has tortoises and turtles. He does a few videos on those. I think his last one was a tortoise eating a half a banana. I know, I'm looking at you. You looking at me? Or are you looking at the camera? A sulcata? There's a marine aquarium channel that they rescued a sea turtle, I think it was, and then they just had a bunch of babies that they released. I haven't seen that video yet. And but I will state that the best soup ever made was turtle soup. Man, snapping turtle soup is the whip. Oh, Grumpy, just eat your breakfast. Oh, you've been wanting one. Yeah, if I had the money, I have a whole room in the front of the trailer, the master bedroom, that I would turn into a water garden. I'd love to have fish and turtles and frogs, and it'd be cool to go in and live stream from a nice room like that. But right now, my tiny little lizard. Yeah. Sorry, get the vape. Yeah, Cole, you should do some video of it. Doesn't have to be live. with all the pressure, the stress you get from watching all the auditors, I take any chance I can. I have Safari Live on here, and I try to watch as much of anybody's videos that does nature. I really like Poor Dirt Farmers Schwanee River videos. Hey, Kitra! Oh my goodness. I'll never take this stream down now, or wash it. I'm just taking advantage of my lizard so that I go live and have a reason. I fed him about a half hour ago. Yep, just over a half hour ago. There he goes. Let's see, I lose the light fades him out so much. But he's got to have the light. Let's see. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Kitra. Reptar's been having a few bad nights lately. Last night he slept in the water dish. Oh, you're going to go hide from the camera? You think so? Yep. I think you did it. Sorry to hear that, Kitra. You can talk about it if you want, or you don't have to. We'll just hope things are looking better in the daylight. Yeah, I mean, you can get choked up over it. The first time I walked into the Secretary of State's office with the camera on, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to die. And then you walk out going, crap, they didn't even notice me. I did get one cam back, so at least it wasn't all not worth it, but if I can get a better shot of you from the side now, or if you're going to be all faded out. Let's give it a shot. If you wanted some advice, be yourself and don't go beyond that. If you want to. It's when people try and step outside their normal way they do things for the wrong reasons that they get hemmed up. Yeah, I got a GoPro that hasn't ever worked. It wasn't a GoPro, it's a 4D underwater camera. They must have shipped it next to a magnet or something, because, yeah, the whole story. My daughter had to get it for me to pay me back for her tattoo, and she won't send it back, and I don't want to go with just the one camera. I tried a phone call to find out that video I did on the cup with the handicap sticker and got nowhere on the phone. But I don't want to go into the police station with just one camera phone. And I can't go live unless I go Facebook Live, and I think I've only done that once. But make sure somebody has your information. They got to know your whole name, your real name, and they got to know your birth date. I think that's all that they need to know to get information. If you just happen to not be there, I don't know if any of that helps. The biggest thing holding me back right now, Kitcher, is I got a broken windshield, and because I got to use the walker, I can't park a mile away, so all they're going to do is grab me for the broken windshield right away, and it's like $280 to replace the windshield because I have no insurance on it that covers windshields. I do have the required amount of insurance. And I still think it's crazy to pay $80 a month for a vehicle with 190,000 miles on it. Michael Malloy, I think I've missed most of that. You know, I was watching my grandkids, and they like YouTube, and we had the computer and the TV, and just, I think I was watching videos of night shooting rats in England, and I recommended a cop watch, and I watched it and went, I've done that. You mean other people stand up against cops? That was like the summer before this year. And I probably watched 10 or 12 hours a day, almost pretty much every day since. And if you've noticed, Kitcher, I have kind of a possibly abrasive sense of humor that I use with law enforcement also, not just the chats. But I worked in sales, and I guarantee if you can get them to smile, you're in a lot better position. And I hope it all goes well, Kitcher. Can you go live? Yeah, that's your breakfast over there. Yeah, I don't know if you've heard my story, Kitcher, but it starts out at pretty young in kindergarten when I stood up against the school board and said I have a right to see the blackboard. He might not be eating, but he might be eating. We'll see. There you go. I guess it's not lunchtime. It's just tear up the cage time. Oops. Let's see if we can keep up with it. He's coming to get you. All my professional camera work there. Completely ignoring his food. A little close. Good morning. Early day. Food is not important, apparently. Escape is the modus operandi for the moment. Watch him climb the cage. It should be eating time instead of sitting in your food. He's in pretty good shape. He's putting on some muscle. His tail's really thickened up in the last 3 months, 2 months. And he got that beard running all the way down his side. Yeah, Cowboy Roadhog sent me some skulls, so I've got 6 skulls in there. Some raccoon ones and some goat ones. I have noticed one thing, Kitra, and that is I don't see it all, so I have to really, I can't put the camera in front of my face, so I hold it beside me, but that seems to be a real trigger for some people to just have it between your face and their face. They immediately think it's in their face. I don't know why. It's in your face, not theirs, but it will lessen their triggerness or increase it. A beaver skull? Oh my God. 75 years old? Oh, I got a piece of petrified wood in there that's a little older than that, Cowboy. And just obnoxious isn't going to eat Taurus food. Look, I'll show you. There's food's all over the place now. I just cleaned that up this morning. There's a raccoon skull, goat skull, raccoons. And there's the petrified wood back under there. That thing's like 25 pounds. Let's see, we'll put it up here. That came with him. I could never afford it. I don't know how the kids afforded that big a hunk of petrified wood. That's expensive stuff. The log is ceramic, but heavy. But that big old hunk of wood over there is concrete. Oh, I'm cutting your head off there. Sorry, bro. Well, that's how some people react, Kitra, is they get nervous and they immediately have their go-to ways, shaming you or making fun of you. I had that problem because of my eyes. I learned that I just start right out with jokes, forget it, make fun of myself, and they lose all the power. In your fish tanks? One of the best creatures that I ever had was my huge mini reef tank that I had invertebrates and a couple fish, but mostly invertebrates. I really enjoyed that. But we had real coral in that. Yeah, they're just people, and you've talked to people your whole life, Kitra. It's when you give them more power than that they're just another person. But they are going to behave the way they're going to behave, and you really, all you can do is work with what they're going to do. $125-gallon, oh my God, I'm so jealous. Now mine was 4-foot long, 40-gallon, and then I had a 20-gallon underneath it for water. But I had all the invertebrates. The only thing I didn't ever have was an octopus. But I had several kinds of starfish, 6 or 8 kinds of shrimp, polyps, brain coral, meat corals, the feather corals, sea apples, anemones. The thing was full. I had hundreds of creatures in there. Hey, I know for a fact makeup works. I mean, your eyes have been trained their whole life to recognize facial expressions, so when you modify the way it looks. Yeah, I had it for almost 2 years, and then I even had a moray shark. If you've ever seen videos with sharks, and there's those smaller, they're really sharks, they call them, that like have the sucker on the head and they attach right to the shark or they swim under it. They got this little tiny mouth about the size of a baby's fingernail. I had one of those. It was 19 inches long. And then I had a bacteria burst, and it killed everything in the tank except for the sea slug survived. But I had a fish that looked like a moray eel that would go head first into the cave and then stick its tail out. It looked like a moray eel. That one was cool. But you couldn't have any of those really cool, bright-colored fish because they eat coral. So it would have defeated the purpose of having the coral. I used to feed the coral fresh liver. Man, they'd suck that up, and it was only minutes. They'd spit out this little tiny black hunk. Looked like coal. Yeah, yeah, it has to. I would have probably went with a cheap prostitute, but I guess cheap clown will work. But you aren't just a kid in Cowboy. I was dumping $200 a month into food and water and salt and water purifying and most of all the creatures that I had I bought by buying raw coral. They bring it into the Chicago, and our local dealer would get it. You get a hunk of rock, and it's got shrimp and crabs and all kinds of stuff attached to it and hid in it that you don't see. It looks just like a rock. You put it in the tank for about 3 days, and all of a sudden you see shrimp that you didn't have before, and coral comes out of the rock. And do the Joker look. Yeah, that might bring some attention to you. She'd probably pull it off as too sexy, though. Yeah, I learned a lot about makeup because my first marriage, my father-in-law was an English professor at college, and he also was in charge of the drama, and they put on plays, and that man knew makeup. My God. He said it's got to be different if you're out at night. It's got to be different if you're out in the sun and the shade or if you're under the spotlights. Yep, looks like a hooker to me. A nice, clean, fresh face. That would be worth seeing. Yeah, the hookers are just like the cops. They hold their hand out. The cops hold it out with the two fingers like an ID, and the hooker holds it out waiting for the cash. Now you quit teasing me, Kitra. If I were a century younger, well, skating uses some different muscles, but swimming is pretty much an all-over healthy. Swimming and walking. Swimming actually is lower stress on your body because the water supports it. I was all set this summer to do my water therapy, and then I got messed up with that girlfriend of mine and taking care of her, and my GoPro came and didn't work, and shit happens. Well, in this day and age, you can identify as anything you want, but I really, really have trouble hiding the fact that I'm old. Damn mirrors, anyways. Well, backing off is never wrong. It's just part of the battle, man. It, it could have been the best decision at the time. I know I look old. But I was certain of it when my dad went through his spell with brain cancer and woke up one morning, lost 30 years of his life, and the next time I saw him, he went, "Who are you, old man?" He thought I was 10 years older than him. He lost the 30 years, so my 20 minus the 30 10s. It's like, oh, shit is fucked up and stuff. He finally passed this January. Identify as 20. I tried to identify as a 20-something Jamaican babe, but I just kept playing with my chest all the time, so I had to give that up. And once I got in touch with my feminine side, but now I've got a restraining order against myself. So I just have to admit who I am. Mentally, I stopped maturing around 14, I believe. But when you start having sex at 8, it's irrelevant when you mature. Yeah, I've thought about integrating it in part of my auditing if I could get out and do it, where I could just, hey, I'm recording this for myself because if I follow my father's footsteps, I'm going to need to see where I'm going ahead of time after I've forgotten. And I do this for your benefit because there was 3 times that it took 6 or more officers to subdue him in the care facility because he didn't know where he was. And that's at like 77 years old. So for your benefit, I'm recording so I can watch before I come and visit. It'd be funny, but I don't want to share that kind of personal shit with them. Well, she was legal. It was so bad, Cowboy, I found out and was mortified when I found out that's how you make babies. There ain't much to do in the country. That's what can I say? Kitra, I hear you. I've been through that myself. A gang of local kids in the country can do some pretty bad things to a young kid. So I understand the whole thing. You have to come to grips with it's not your fault. And bad things happen to everybody. It's what you do with it, I guess. I don't know. I still don't believe that, but you can figure out who you are when you make the decisions on revenge and justice, and especially at a young age before your mind is actually comprehended and fully developed. But I had to do the AA thing after the 1D I got in '05. And the only intelligent thing I heard that whole 90 days I had to do it was you let one event in your life determine the whole rest of your life. That was a good question. Well, yeah, he was a hard-working man. He was got big like I am, but it's you got enough muscle that you're scared and some adrenaline, and you're pretty powerful. And the thing about the care facilities, they don't want to pound you like they do out in the streets. The cops do. They just want to actually use the adequate amount of force. Unfortunately, if you aren't going to restrain yourself, then it takes several of them. I hear you, Cowboy. It's it's such that people just keep it private. They don't want to share. They're ashamed and they haven't dealt with it, or I'm I hear you. I go from 0 to 100 when I see it happening live or Memorex. If you you all know what that is. Back in the day, they had a commercial. Was it live or is it Memorex? Supposedly their cassette tapes were so good a quality you couldn't tell them from the real thing. And the cassette is a little box thing with this little film on 2 wheels, Kitra. Well, let's see. It would have been. Yeah, it was over 4 decades, and I didn't actually ever bring it up until this community. And I still don't discuss it in large chat rooms. Yeah, there's several people that when I see their name, I first immediately think that they are crude and rude and unnecessary. But my roughest time was when I was in pajama audits. She just knows I'm going to talk about her. That was the most stressful live streams I've ever been in. Was that live videos that Pajama was doing. Did you finish up your online shopping for pajamas and had time to come in? Or are you just trying to get some more information on your boy? Or you want to know about that secret about Friday? No, thanks for coming in, Pajama Audits. Hope things are going good for the art critic. You know, he's going through some stuff. Wasn't it your birthday last week, too? I call it another year older day because you were actually only born once. Birthday month. That's a long labor to have gone through for your mother. I'm sure that she's told you about it. I was in labor for a month for you. 2 hours and 10 months. Last of 9. So they probably had like a rope ladder on the way out by then, huh? Escalator. Oh, 10 minutes. I have no idea how long my labor was. It's just like what I tell the cops. I'm not really sure when I was born. I was pretty young, and I'm pretty sure they didn't have a calendar in the birthing room. 45-year labor. My mom's is a person unto herself. She is hilarious. 79, she flew out to Idaho to visit a friend from high school, and the first thing she tells me on the phone when she went back, there were mountains all around us, and you know, they're really big. That pretty much explains my mom. Oh, 22 hours for me. Well, my first daughter was born with a C-section because her mother had fused hips, and the first baby was a C-section. So the only way she could have a kid was C-section. So the doctor asked us, you know, what day do you want the baby born in this time frame, and what time would you like to come in? And you know, I still almost got kicked out of the operating room. I mean, it was December 2nd. I had just got done with rifle season for venison, so I had probably gutted maybe 10 deer. And when they opened her up, and I said, man, there's more fat there than on any of the deer I cleaned this year, the anesthesiologist told me to get the hell out of the room. Oh, A1 was 22 and a half hours. Well, I'll have to remind him of that next time I see him playing. He was real happy to find out you were trying to give him away on the live stream. Now, my last one that was born, I was well aware of what was going to happen, and in the birthing room, I played Pink Floyd The Wall. And when the doctor came in to deliver, he just shook his head and looked at me. I said, hey, she's already got, you know, I'm wrapped around her pinky and she ain't even born. So I guess it was fitting. But I've had issues with nurses in the hospital that told me I had to leave the room because the baby quit breathing. And I'm like, you don't have enough people in this hospital to get me to leave my child. Well, men faint. I'm like, oh, Jesus. Nope, I never left eyesight of any of my children when they were in the hospital. Never slept, never went to eat. It's like the kid I birthed is the kid coming home. You have to be careful in Michigan. The only doctors didn't get C's or above on their report cards. Who are you talking about, PJ? Let me screenshot that so I can post that on this live stream. Yeah, grandkids are way better than kids. You get to send them home. And as I threatened my daughter her whole life, you are going to have children someday. And I have a long memory. So when we're all together and I lean down to Christopher and say, "Hey, Christopher, do you know what your mom did when she was your age?" I get a shut up from across the room. But no, I was really blessed. All three of my grandkids were born and grew up in the house that I was in, and I got to be their nanny too. So now they're three little smart asses running around. I hear you. I taught my kids to be independent. I wanted them to leave. I teach my grandkids to depend on their grandparents for survival. It's hard to tell sometimes. Reptar PJ wants to know if you're a statue. It's like when I had my blue and gold macaw. At night, they do not like life. I mean, it sits on my shoulder like it won't move, and I would hand out Halloween candy through the door, and they'd go, "That's a really cool stuffed parrot." It's rubber. Oh, Reptar, you don't think you're real. You need to actually move. Here, let me turn the battery switch on. Oh, he moved his eye. You see, his eye moved. That's the left controller. Lady D was in earlier and made me pat him. See, it's fake. Here, let me turn his head. That's the LR button. See, he croons his neck. It's like those animatronic dinosaurs. Yeah. He runs on solar power and the sun's not out. I had heard more than a dozen people commenting on it, Cowboy, and I did watch it this morning. I think Poor Dirt Farmer had a link to it. The first thing I took away from it was she had a cell phone that worked. I mean, that to me is like, if you can afford to pay a cell phone bill, I just struggle with that. It, it doesn't fit into what in my mind is a homeless person. I'm not saying anything bad or good about the video or anything like that. All I'm commenting on is that it's bad enough nowadays that you can't afford a place to live. And yet, you probably have a free Obamacare phone. I had one for like 4 or 5 years that you got 500 minutes a month and you didn't pay for it, but It didn't work very many places either. Okay, take your urgent call. Or cigarette break, whichever it really is. Yeah, like I said, I call it Obamacare phone. But they started having you have to reapply and this and that, and they kept turning it off every month for like 6 months, even though I did everything I was supposed to. So I couldn't trust it. So I finally went with Metro PCS, and for like $40 a month, I had a phone. And now for $30 a month, they got an i6S phone and a unlimited sort of data. I mean, unless I was going to live stream from the phone, I'll never use up all the data. They keep trying to give you one. Well, yeah, they make a ton of money off it. It's like any government program. When I was 18 and got my job as the head of a apartment complex that was FHA and HUD approved, the people weren't paying crap, but they were getting 3 times the amount for rent from the government than any other rental in the whole area got. That was a whole crazy fucked up system. I tell you, cowboy, the one company came in and surveyed the property, and then they sold that survey to another company owned by the same people that then contracted out to have it built, another company that they owned, that subcontracted everybody that did all the work, and then they sold it to another company, which they owned, and each time they get the money from the government to pay for it. And then they have a management firm that runs it that they own. So they like dip on that property 5 times from government funds. And then every month they get an extra $400 or $500 per apartment. Well, up here in Michigan, even when they had cell phones, it's like if you aren't up the top of a ridge, you don't get reception. Or right along the edge of the highway. But like most people don't live on the edge of the highway. With 3 job money. There's still a lot of places along the lakeshore here in Michigan that you only get one cell company gets reception. All the rest suck. I mean, it varies from how far north you go. But I got in on the cell phone with the cable company, and I've had everywhere I was up north, I had reception. I never had trouble. Oh, I like the way they explained that on Independence Day when the father said, "Do you really think they pay the $35,000 for a screwdriver? No, they're using that money for all their black ops." The seat costs $3. They just spent $29,997 on their black ops, buying heroin and selling it to the cartels and shit. And then when it comes out, it's like, oh, it was necessary. We got to control the region. Not that I'm into conspiracy theories. They definitely want every penny you've got. And it's funny, you know, for the same crime, they won't go after your money if you don't have it. They don't bother. But they do if you've got it. Well, I don't talk politics on my chat because it drives me insane, the stuff I watch that's okay for one side and not the other. It just pisses you off. It mirrors kind of the auditing thing with the cops too, but you know, I see things like that. Other people don't. I spent some time on the not not Google Web that 3 years ago they told all this stuff that comes out today, and you're like, well, that'll never see the light of day. And 3 years later, well, yeah, they did that, but it's not that bad. Oh, pajamas, did you finish your cigarette? Oh, another victim. Oh, I tell a bad joke again. I'm sorry. But I'm glad they're coming to you, hon. That they at least there's a process for them to come and get some sense of help or relief or just find some safety. Now, right now, I just prostitute my lizard so I can go live and have some people come and talk to me. I should get a real lizard, huh? Pajama audits? Yeah, I've been sitting here since my second thermos of coffee about a half hour. I'm about to be pissed too. But I'll be pissed on, not pissed off. Yeah, the thing is, it's not like it. I don't really believe it's happening more than it used to. I just think that the situation or culture, it's becoming more open and more people. Plus, you go back, you're adding decades now where people bring it up. So it was taboo. I mean, things were so taboo. My parents never told me till I was 50 years old that my mother's mom and dad got divorced. They said he got killed in an accident. I thought till I was 50 years old my grandfather had died in an accident because it was taboo to talk about issues that even just those kind of issues, let alone sexual abuse. Well, that's what they do. They just move it there, don't exist anymore. We put it out of their mind. We discussed it. They won't do it anymore. And it's the establishment has absorbed the press, so it's not like you can get help. Like back in the cowboy days when the press guy was the one you went to that printed this bad stuff about the government. Hey, poor dirt farmer, how you doing today? Showing off my inflatable lizard that's not real. Well, until you get the government to quit trafficking, I don't know how you're going to bring that number down any. Kitro, I'm out here whenever you want to talk. Yeah, sometimes it's just that first time that it happens to you, it's like you realize your own mortality, and that whole thing wraps up all in together, and it sticks in your gut. They moved them where the kids went to. Yeah, Porter Farming gives us quite a variety of. It should be called the Variety Channel. Did you see it move, PJ? It actually moved. Well, you keep planting the seed, and it keeps growing. I really like the one line that says the pursuit of happiness, because you step one step out your comfort zone, and you got to pursue happiness. It don't just come. That the list of new victims is going to pile up, PJ. The better you get at processing it. It's we call it radio controlled. It's more technical. We don't know how to spell remote. He could sit there for 3 hours and 2 seconds, be overeating it. Just he has to make up his mind. And PJ, this Roadhog has been really nice to me. He's been sending me some of his victims, and Reptar's been knocking them around the cage. Get a couple more in the back. I think it makes it look really awesome. All right, PJ, we'll see. I'm not going to go much longer. I don't want to change my pants. I want one. Yeah, they run on romaine lettuce. But you can scroll back to earlier if you can, or watch it later. There was a time where he came down and kicked his food all around and pitched a little fit against the wall and then went back up. And it's 70 so in here, so it should be plenty warm enough in there if he wants to eat. He's plenty warm enough too. Yeah, and I've seen people really, I think, overinflate. I understand the cop come running at him going, is that a gun, is that a gun? But he had the cop, I'm pretty sure, had something in his one paper in his one hand, and he didn't pull his revolver. But that don't mean 2 seconds later he wouldn't have pulled it and shot. I'm not trying to discount that. It's just the way some people put it in the chat, you would think he had him on the ground with a gun to his head. But it was definitely, I don't want to say it was any less dangerous than it really was, because it definitely was over the edge dangerous. Yeah, he don't bite, he just tongues stuff and crushes it. You got one of those thick, pink, sticky tongues that come out an inch or two. Hunting iguanas. There were a bunch of reality shows, like 4 of them, that were going to start up because of all the snakes and iguanas and stuff in the swamps down in the southern part of the United States. And then it got really cold the winter before. They started in the fall with their preview shit. And come winter, like, it killed them all off. So there was nothing for them to find. So those reality shows didn't go very far. And she leaves and now it moves. That's how our iguana died. It crawled out on the sun-heated porch roof and got cold that night and froze to death, according to my son. You got to think in the back of his mind, Cowboy, that there were cameras in that parking lot other than James' camera. I mean, if it were somewhere out on the road, I think that probably would have went down a lot worse. Amphibians, they run in a cycle too. I mean, they reduce their population, then it explodes, and it's part of the whole circle of life. Nothing is, you know, sometimes I think people get stuck with everything they know is here today, should be here tomorrow. But if you gotta go do the whole timeline thing where things weren't here back then that are here now. Animal populations follow with what there is for them to survive off of, and we as a creature tend to take over nature. So the areas that they have to populate, they either adapt or they go non-existent. So we do bear some of the responsibility in Yeah, we use way too many chemicals for life. Way too many. You gonna go down and eat? Huh? Or are you just gonna go tear stuff up? No, we're just gonna tear stuff up. Well, I'm remote control driving. It's gotta be a burden to take on what you have, PJ. Well, that was a big event. Way to go, Reptar. He proved to you, PJ, that he's real. Yeah, I haven't mowed my grass in years. I mowed about maybe 20 square foot of it this year because they were going to charge me in the park to come mow it. That's probably the only lawn mowing I've done in 9 years. All right. Yeah, definitely don't need to hang in here and come with if there's something going on. I love wildflowers. We planted them all over our shooting range, so we had flowers growing all over the backdrop. Stopped shooting range. My problem was I let it go to seed 2 or 3 times to fill in the grass, and now the grass is so growing so bad I have to get it cut all the time. Oh, it was an upload. I know some of them say live on it because they're uploading it when it was live before. I go and I'm like, because I refresh and I go through my homepage to find all the fresh lives. I don't wait for the notices. And it sometimes it'll say they're live, and they're live, but it doesn't actually register on their channel for like 30 seconds. Really? I can't even chat in my own screen? There's my email. It's better just to give the email and then change the information that way. Sitting on the old skull. I think the wire broke. He's acting erratically. It's alive! I don't either, Cowboy. I just use it to privately give my information out. I wish I could see the whole screen. I gotta move the camera away from the chat. What are you doing, Reptile? Even he wants to leave me, because I'm sure he's trying to get out so he can give me a hug. You see how much of importance he puts on his food, standing right in the middle of it. Trying to hold it still. If he gets to standing up, he'll stand all the way up on his tail. Get that big fat belly stuck up against the glass. Oh, this should prove to PJ I can't drive that good, so he's got to be real. Reptar. I'm probably giving you all motion sickness by now. That's your food you're stepping in. Set this down. My arm's getting sore. Hey, Israel. Oh. Oh, I thought we were going to get to watch cute hamster. Yeah, he's not bad for a hairless hamster. He's, boy, if I had a rated extreme, I'd say he's effing the skull, but hey, twin mommy comes in. Yeah, this is one of them penguins. I heard the Russian penguins were invading Alaska. Oh, this is going to get me demonetized. Oh. This is Reptar, the obnoxious. He's pretty active the last few days. Last night he slept in his water dish full of water. Kitra. Well, it's like I say, Kitra, Google me. I am the only one in the universe. So there will be no confusion. I use my real name because the federal government doxed me at 15 and said I was an enemy of the state. So ain't no point in hiding at that point. Oh, I was very naive. I thought, oh, this is the chance of a lifetime. The government's going to put me up in another state and teach me, and that's all going to be good. And my dad went, my kids are the stupidest kids on the planet. You're fucking crazy, and slammed the door in their face. And I went, what the fuck? Now I'm like, God, Dad, thank you. But if you're too smart and you don't work for the government, you're an enemy of the state. Because if you won't work for us, you must be working against us. $27 and ornery. Well, cowboy, you can try to marry him off like PJ does. Put him up for auction on the live streams. I mean, they came right out and said it. Yeah, see, the battery's charged under the light. It's pickier than a woman. You gotta laugh out of me, cowboy. Touche. I try to keep my woman bias to myself in my streams. We called them Rugrats, AK Twin. That's how I got Reptar. Rugrats. And then they become curtain climbers. Well, you've got all the support you need, Kitra. Just stay within your comfort zone. It doesn't matter how far it goes. The whole thing about an audit is to test their reaction to a situation. How much they react or overreact is what you're looking for, not. That's what we're testing. So even if you're nice and polite and they're nice and polite back, it's a good audit. It's when they escalate that we want to know how far they're willing to go. And hopefully that'll give them time to think about it and change the way that they react. We can only hope. That's what the teaching thing is. It's really hard to teach, but you can help people learn. Yeah, when I was in the seventh grade, Cowboy, our algebra class was the third class of the day, and the teacher claimed he had laryngitis. And by the third class, he couldn't speak. And by the second week, I was teaching my seventh grade algebra class. I had the teacher's book. I came in. I did the whole thing. I didn't think nothing of it. And the next year in the 8th grade, I had a little more latitude of where I could go because I cleaned up in the evening, run the flag down, and did the dust mop across the hallway floors. And I found there's a room behind that algebra room, and it's got a video camera in it. And it points right at the teacher's desk. And then that summer was when they came to the house and said, "We'd like to offer your son a chance of a lifetime." Luckily, I had a parent, and they were more knowledgeable than I was. Well, PJ, every time you get a new victim, you have another set of travels to share with somebody else in your life. Whoops. Not keeping up with the lizard. Isn't he? It's been about a week of this since I cleaned his cage that he's really been obnoxious. He's torn to his food 3 times without eating it. Yeah, they definitely had. I had been singled out, and they had checked up on the whole family. And when we sold the house and moved to Michigan and built a house, we sold the house for cash. We built the house for cash, and they showed up about a month into building the house, wondering how the hell we could afford that. That they didn't show any records of us having a loan for the house. And pretty much realized at that point that they were going to keep track of me the rest of my life. Yeah, one thing that the government does not like is for you to tell them to do their job. They've structured their system so far they can pass the buck. One of the things that pisses me off to no end is the first thing the cop tells you when you talk to him, "Oh, I wasn't there. I arrived 2 minutes later, so I have no idea." And you know, if they would make every officer that shows up to a scene write a report, You wouldn't have 8 officers there for a camera. Because they sure as hell don't like writing reports. But they don't want to be held accountable. I don't know. I wasn't here. I didn't start this. Oh, you can't get that here. You got to go to the other place. It's just create so much havoc you don't have time to deal with it. It's easier to pay the fine and not lose your job than it is to go in and fight it in court. I'm not even sure if he's even on this. Oh, yeah. But I'll thank you for the one thing, AK, is that I got to vent a little frustration for a couple hours over the whole situation. Oh, that's sweet. Yeah, okay, usually I just plug in my house phone and wait for about 20 minutes and I get a call from scammer and I usually vent my frustrations that way when I need to. Other than that, the phone sits in the box unplugged. But I'm not actually saying what I did to vent my frustrations. There's no admission of guilt there. Quit looking at me. I already fed you. You decided to tear your food up instead of eating it. Silly boy. I I had a lot of trouble getting it not being real choppy at the beginning until you turned off your went to the Wi-Fi. When you turned on your Wi-Fi, it worked better. What are you doing? What are you doing? Let's get up. Oh, the light really sucks that way. Yeah, I had the volume turned way up, but the crazy lady was silent all night. Or was that the stream where the whole auditors and the homeless came up? I think that's what you're probably talking about, if I remember right. Wasn't like I didn't watch 40 streams yesterday, but who's the baby? Oh, want your belly rubbed? Come here. I'll rub your belly. Fake. Yeah, that was. I had not watched the video at that point. If I had, my opinion would simply have been, it doesn't surprise me with Patrick. That would probably have been my comment. Because I have seen the video now. And you were right, Cowboy, to call him out on it. He was as much a part of it as Patrick was. Nah, he's as tender as a polar bear. You did an audit with Patrick once? Yeah, I heard James Freeman talk about him the other day, and I thought it was interesting. He said, as of late, Patrick had been on fire, and sometimes he does good audits, and sometimes he doesn't agree with what the audits are. And I remember back originally, James' complaint was that he never followed up on anything. Patrick would walk away. But irregardless, Patrick's his own person and does what he wants. If you don't want to watch it, it's not a requirement. If you want to condemn it, you definitely have that right. And sometimes you have to realize that the people in this community or on the fringes of this community, they believe in things and they get worked up and they're active, so they're passionate. Not always all passionate about the same thing, but the court date, that's not quite an audit, but I get you. It's still an audit. Like you say, you're looking to see how much they overreact to the situation. I made a judge's jaw drop after my opening comment on a traffic ticket. And after watching several people go through the system with multiple issues, and all my problem was the Secretary of State's put my information under the name of the guy that bought the car from when they transferred the title. And he expected me to pay on the way out when all these other people had 4 and 5 issues and stolen this and stolen that and putting plates on the wrong cars. And he says, 6 months to pay, 6 weeks to get a job, and 2 months and gets to me and says, pay the guy $50 on the way out the door. I'm like, first of all, I told you I didn't have my wallet on me. And what? You only make the white people pay? And oh my God, the whole room went quiet. Sometimes I can't keep my mouth shut. Okay, I can't ever keep my mouth shut. Now I got like 900 channels, and some of them I don't have the notifications turned on. Southern Minnesota. Is that the warm part of Minnesota? He's going to have to sit there for a while and cool down. That was a lot of activity. And he still hasn't eaten. Alright, you're going to have to talk amongst yourself, or I have to end the stream, because I got to go create my own stream. So, got the camera set so you don't have to look at me. I won't fit on the screen anyway. I'll be back. Didn't hear much chit chat. He wants a cricket steak. Oh, you should see him go after live crickets. Boy, the ones I buy can jump all the way across that cage. And so can he. Right now he's getting freeze-dried mealworms because I got a $10 a month budget for him. So the romaine and the mealworms are about $10 a month. I'm not sure if AK is still here, but you never hear me hit the bong. I'm just vaping this morning. And following the pit. All right, cowboy. Well, thanks for hanging out with me all morning. Yeah, PJ, I shop for crickets online. I get them through Amazon. Live mealworms, too. They ship them right through USPS. You see how he's standing up the way he is? He's losing heat right now. When he's absorbing heat, he'll lay right down. Oh my goodness. The old man really got to rambling today. Almost 2.5 hours. Well, I knew Reptar would be entertaining a little bit. He's done all right. Oh, another puff of smoke? That's vapor, not smoke. Reptar wants his. It'd be real nice if you would just eat. Yeah, you. Well, that was a pleasant citrusy flavor. Oh, come on, Reptar. I'm stuck. Quick, jump out of the burning building. Wants to come live with you, PJ? You can have him. Of course, I'd come with it. Now she'll pretend she's not here. Thanks a lot, man. I really appreciate guys coming in here and gals and spending time with this old fart. Hopefully you get a laugh or two. That's pretty much my claim to fame now. Gonna give him one more dance, Reptar. Alright, we'll see you. Ribbit. Ribbit. You're just hogging the camera. Let's see what happens if I refresh. Oh, now it says one viewer. Alright, Reptar. You've been quite entertaining. But it's been a couple hours, and I think we're going to tell all the peoples goodbye. Thank you for all that listened to the end, or that came in the live stream. Leave a comment. I read them all to Reptar. And we gone.